Hey kids, welcome back to another week of Oldman Plays CFL Fantasy. Not a bad week for me last week. If you catch the CFL Outsiders podcast earlier, you'll know the whole story, but the bottom line is I had a 2.2 point, say that better. I had a 2.2 point victory over KD Kamish from the Turf District. This week I'm facing Ryan Ballantyne from the Horsemen, who's a bit of a legend. He always picks Calgary players on his teams. So normally it would be I could pick anyone I wanted and he'd be restricted to Calgary and it'd be a good week for me. Calgary's on a bye, so it's one of the 2 or 3 weeks a year that he picks from other teams. And I'm in a bit of a feisty mood, maybe, playful. So I'm going to talk to you about how to play it this week, but I think just for the matchup, I'm going to see for the fun of it if I can go all riders up against one of his picks from the rest of the league and see how that does. So we'll get into that. But anyway, going forward, I've looked through the injury reports and the depth charts. Nothing too much to notice on the depth charts other than the fact that Winnipeg and now Edmonton's aren't out ahead of time as they should be. I don't know why that happens. It seems like it's not just my computer, it's wherever I look for it. But anyway, nothing really there to too much to know from what's up on the depth charts. Nothing that we didn't already know. Ottawa's still got a fair number out, but they're mostly backups and special teamers, so that'll hurt them, but not too much at all. Winnipeg definitely has Terrell Bonds out, which we knew about from earlier in the week, and Jamel Parker. So their secondary, which was already weak, might be a little bit suspect. Now that game with Drew Brown playing the way that he can and the Winnipeg defense doing what they've looked like, I'd say Brown and probably Hardy would be a pretty good lock if you're putting together a regular sort of team. On the other side, Brady did really well against Calgary. I assume he'll do well against the Ottawa defense. They're not quite as tough against the run as Calgary has been, so he might be a good pick there. Otherwise, I think I'd stay away from it. Zach has been too inconsistent. Nick Dembski, maybe. They're going to get him at least one pass, so you're going to get 1 point out of him. But I would think he's quite a bit better. You could probably do that. Going on to the next game, the Toronto at Edmonton game. This is the one. Coxie is not listed as out, but he's a game time decision, so I would stay away from him. As good as he normally is, I'd stay away from him because I don't know what kind of shape he'll be in. So frankly, I don't know that I'd be taking Arbuckle as a quarterback against that Edmonton defense. It's a possibility. They give up an awful lot. But if you're going to do it, I would probably team him up with either DeVaris Daniels or maybe even Brissett, who's done fairly well lately. And him and Brissett and Mytel are good, slightly lower cost options. On the Edmonton side, Cody's been lighting it up, but not really going to anybody consistently. So probably your best team up there, I would think, would be with Dunbar. Or, I suppose, Rankin, but unless he gets a passing touchdown, you're not going to double up that way. I should note that the Edmonton punter is out, so that can affect field position, and Royce Mechie is back for the Elks, so that will improve their defense somewhat. The next game that we go to, the Hamilton at Saskatchewan game, like I said, I'm going to probably try and take all Saskatchewan just on the whim. But Hamilton, Augustine, the backup running back's been a good cheap option. He's out for them this week. Who else is out there? Nobody, again, special teamers mostly. Nobody of real consequence. Tyler Tergnowski, but again, he gets the odd pass. He's basically a special teamer. He is so good on special teams, they keep him for that. On the Saskatchewan side, and of course, back to this. If you're going to take the Bo as your quarterback, Lawler seems like a natural choice, and he'll find some holes in that zone, but teams have been scheming against him. And White, he might get a couple of good touchdowns. He might drop easy ones. So I'm leery of either of those. I think I would go back to what I did last week. I'd go with Keandre Smith with him, and you'd probably guarantee yourself a fairly reasonable team up. On the Saskatchewan side, no real surprises there other than that they do get Noah Zaire back, so We'll see if that makes any sort of difference. I don't know that it will affect the lineup, but we'll see what happens. Of course, Trevor is a great choice with this. It's kind of hard to figure out who to team him up with. He either goes with Johnson or Dante Myers, but neither both of them. So I don't know. I'm not sure which I'd pick. Again, Ouellette would be a very good choice in the backfield. I think he'll be able to run against that Hamilton defense. Look what Butler did to them in the last few games. So there's some good choices there. And then the last game, Montreal at BC. Well, Caleb Evans is playing. I said on the Outsiders on when was it, Tuesday, that we taped that, just watch, he'll go off for like 400 yards, have a career game with a bunch of people we've never heard of catching it, and they'll win. But you can't count on that. So I'm thinking I'd stay away from it. Montreal is still just terribly, terribly beat up. They still have Austin Mack out. They got Tyson Philpott out in the backfield. They've got Ento out. They've got Anton Dequoy out. They've got that line. Lawrence is still out. And Erlington, who has always been a good sort of cheap starting running back option, is out. So if you're going that way, Tights might be the better one there, the rookie. But you don't know for sure without the depth charts. Are they going to start him or Scott? I would guess him since he's been on the roster. So we'll see. And on the other side, well, Nathan may just light it up. You never know. On the other hand, he may get a lot of pressure, and the one thing he's not looking good at is under pressure. He gets a little panicky and tries to get rid of the ball rather than take a sack, and that could lead to some interceptions, even without Dequoy and Ento in there. So if I wasn't trying to go all riders, or if I can't go all riders, I might consider that Montreal defense. They may pick off Nathan a couple of times on it. If you're going to go with him, Hatcher seems like the good choice, safe choice, although I'd be really tempted to look at Eberhardt. He's come on in the last couple of games. Maybe team him up there. McInnes had a great game last game, but he's been hit and miss, so you just don't know. So other defenses I might consider might be Ottawa against Winnipeg, because Zach's been throwing interceptions, although last game he was so cautious he just wasn't taking throws at all, so hard to say. But the other one that might be good might be the BC defense against Montreal, and Caleb Evans, who's in there, who's known to throw the picks. So there's that. Other than that, looking through it, low choice people, if you're looking for them, I mentioned probably Eberhardt out of BC there. When we go down to Edmonton, it's hard to pick anyone there that's going to be much at all. With Hamilton, Shamar Bridges started getting a few passes, so you really need somebody cheap. He might be worth considering. Montreal, Hollins hasn't done much with them, but he's getting into the system more, so you never know. Sneed is not really a low choice one, but he's good on there. Of course, with Ottawa, I don't know prices, but Addis and Hardy are both good ones. I would normally say Keelan White is a lower price one, but he's a game time decision, so I'd stay away from there. And of course, Eugene Lewis, but he's expensive. And Saskatchewan, if I had to pick a low price one out of there, which I may have to, I would probably go with Tommy Neild, providing he shows up on the depth chart again, or shows up with basically getting a fair amount of playing time. So there's that, and I mentioned out of Toronto, Mattel and Brissett, and out of Winnipeg, not a lot that make me feel too good. I don't know where Wheat falls at in price these days. He might be worth taking, but that's about it. So that's my advice to you, but now I'm going to go and do something stupid. So let's fire up Fantasy on the old computer here and see if I can put together an all-rider team in honor of Ryan Ballantyne, my opponent this week, who's from the Horseman Radio podcast. Or I think that's what it's called. Horseman, anyway. Okay, so here we go now. And since I'm going for try and do my whim of all Saskatchewan, we can set the team there and make that easy. So quarterback will be Harris. Running backs, we would want AJ if we can. It'd be nice to know if Bertrand was back. He might be, but I don't know. So let's go to the wide receivers. If I put in the expensive ones first, Johnson and Myers, that now leaves me, $21K for a running back defense. So let's put the defense in, see how expensive they are. Okay, so that leaves me 11.5. Now my other running back, we'd have to go with Anderson as the backup running back. And then for my flex position, who's my next best choice in here? I keep forgetting about Robicelli. Got $9K left for him. And other than that, there's Tommy Neal or Duncan Busby, but I think Robicelli is my better choice there. So that's what we've done. Oh, and 2.9 left over. So there it is. Take Trevor as the captain. Locked in and done. That's it. Those are my choices. Managed to get all riders. I wouldn't recommend you do it, but it's going to be an interesting experience. Hopefully you'll get some good advice from the rest of the talk I gave at the start. My lecture. Yeah, and if you do decide to do what I've done, do so at your peril. Who knows? Anyway, that's it for this week. Please remember, hit the like button. If this is doing you any good or not. It's an easy thing. You hit the like button, you're doing a good thing for us, your fellow human beings, me and the rest of the CFL Outsiders. It drives up our engagement, gets more people seeing us. We'd love that. Of course, subscribe on both the platforms, the YouTube and the whatever podcatcher you have. Comments are great. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Mostly, I just hope you're enjoying this, and I hope it's doing you some good on your fantasy. Wishing you a great weekend of fantasy. Hope you really do well. If you do pick 'em, hope you do well there. And I really hope we all get a weekend half as good as, well, I hope we get a weekend as good as last week, but I'll take a half as good weekend because that would still be fantastic. Till next week, Old Man, signing off.